I'm Linor, I'm a singer and a voice teacher, and this
Hi,
is...
I'm Noam Fazana, I'm a singer-songwriter.
Yeah, so we're here today on a little bit of a different scene. We're gonna just chat a little bit about our experiences on stage, and most of all, after the stage, or backstage, if you will, or front stage, you know, when you meet the audience and what they say to you, the moments after the performance. My first story is actually about a practice, because I had to practice a lot, like most artists do. And one time the neighbor came and she said, you know, my 1-year-old daughter just loves you and your roommates and when you sing. And I was like, really? Wow, that means a lot, you know, because I love babies so much. And you know, if you get a baby to like opera singing, that's like, it's really something, right? And I was like, oh, that means so much to me, thank you so much. And she's like, yeah, you have no idea, every time you sing I imitate you. And she was laughing.
So that's a bit embarrassing.
Not exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, now tell us a story.
Well, it's very difficult to choose because there are so many random ones. So you want me to start with a good one or a bad one?
Let's start with a bad one. It's
Okay.
more spicy.
One time I did a benefit concert for the AIDS Foundation, and well, it was in their shop. They used to have a shop in Amsterdam that was called Out of the Closet, and they would sell secondhand stuff. So it was also open for people from the street. So there was like a regular audience that would come as well. Mm-hmm. And then one guy came to me after the show, and he was like really interacting during the show, replying to all the gestures that I made to the audience. And then at the end of the show, he came to me and he said, you know, you have such a great sense of humor. It's so rare that you have a good performer that also has a sense of humor. And I thought, wow, that's a great compliment. And then he said, you should quit your job as a musician and become a comedian instead. And it's like, okay, thank you for the great compliment.
That's great. That's really nice. Yeah, I really appreciate it when they say stuff like that.
Like, what are you supposed to reply when you hear something like that?
Yeah, it's like you get all kinds of advice.
You're kind of
like that
dumbstruck,
from audience,
you know,
right?
when this happens. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't know. Thank you.
Yeah,
Just
I think
smile
I'm
and
gonna
wave.
do exactly what
Smile
you say,
and wave.
stranger who doesn't know anything about music. I'm just gonna quit my profession and just start another one. That's exactly what I'll do. Yeah, so advice that people give you, that's interesting. So I know from stories that you told me that a lot of people think that they, you know, can really show you the way in life, like what you should do with your life, or what you should do in your shows, how you should, you know, hire other people to do the things that you do.
Yeah, I've heard that many times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because
very funny.
one of my USPs is the fact that I can play trombone and piano at the same time. So I have this special stand that I've created for this purpose, and the trombone looks like it's airborne above the piano, and then I can, because I have the stand, it allows me to have one hand on the slide, so I don't have to actually hold it with the other hand, and then I freeze my other hand to play the piano. And I've heard many times from members of the audience that telling me, why don't you hire someone to play trombone for you? Because it's too many things to do. It's confusing for the audience.
So confusing. Yeah, the audience doesn't like you know, virtuosity or multitasking by the performer. Who likes that?
Yeah, they actually asked me, do you do that because you don't have the budget to hire someone else? And it's like, no, that's because I like doing that. And they start, yeah, you know, sometimes they even say things like, you know, it's not that sexy for a girl to play a trombone, and especially when it's not.
I beg to differ. Yeah. You should watch. Okay, I'm not gonna objectify you right now, but it's not unsexy. I'll just say, it looks very nice. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no.
Well, you never really have a clue what other people are going to say, right? Because I wouldn't count on aspiring to fulfill all the reactions that you get. You just have to do what you want to do, and people will follow or not. It's
right. You can't really control what other people are going to say, and you can't control the fact that they're going to say.
Exactly.
So it's not just about
the most random moment, but
it's not just about performance. It's just in life in general. People are going to tell you what they think, whether you asked for their opinion or not. But if you're a performer, it can sort of like get you sometimes, because it's us and we're putting ourselves.
Well, the thing is that once you do 100 concerts a year, and then you have 12 of these people coming to you after each show, it accumulates. So you've heard 1,200 reactions during the last year.
Right.
That's a lot.
So what does it mean if it accumulates?
It's about 100 reactions per month.
Does it like lose its meaning, or does it like, as you say, accumulate so you get hypersensitive to it?
Yeah, so it's both at the same time, because on one hand, they can't really regard it as the truth. But on the other hand, because it's happened so often, they really want to, I think it comes from the notion that a performer has been on the stage for a very long time, right? So I'm giving a concert, I've been talking to the public for an hour and a half, but they weren't able to communicate with me.
Right.
So it's their way to offer their grain of salt when they're coming to talk to me after the performance and say, hey, we want to tell you something too.
Yeah. But it's in a way they think it's a compliment, whether it's a compliment or not, because they sort of like say, I've been paying attention. Yeah, I've been a part of this. I was not just, I'm not neutral to this.
Yeah. You also have amazing moments where people come and they share their personal stories, for instance, that are related to your music somehow, that you didn't have any clue that you have possible, kind of or that you have this kind of influence on someone's life.
Can you give an example?
It was about 3 years ago, I got a message on Facebook from a fan who bought, I don't know, in 2008, my first EP that came out. And it was,
it's 11 years ago.
It's really a long time ago. And
how many songs were on that EP?
8 songs.
8 songs.
And she said that her husband passed away a year before that. And she was really depressed for a year. But because she was listening to the EP every morning when she was having breakfast and having her coffee, it helped her through the mourning period to get over her husband that just passed away. Wow. And this is like, you don't know. I was shocked when I read this, because you don't have any idea how a song that you wrote and you just released to the world, somebody just bought the CD in one of your shows 11 years ago, and now it's helping them to cope with something emotional that they're going through, and you're a part of their lives. You don't know that, but you're there for them. And
it's priceless, right?
It's amazing. I mean, I can't describe how weird that is. I mean, just the fact that by writing something and putting it out there, you play a role, you make a real change in someone's life. I actually wrote a song 2 years ago about something similar. So if you could touch one heart, if you could save one pain, ease one pain, then you haven't lived in vain. It's
I remember you played it for me and I cried. Yeah, so is it out there yet?
No, I haven't released it yet. Coming up.
That's it's amazing to see how, like, this one event, for example, that makes it look like it's all worth it.
It doesn't matter if you have difficulties. Once you've done this,
so I have something similar, not even similar, no, sorry, but also on the positive side. But first I want to share an embarrassing experience that I had. I was performing in front of my colleagues at the Music Academy in Jerusalem, and I think it was even my half recital. So I was there for a good 20 minutes singing my heart out, performing my shirt off, whatever. And and after that, you will welcoming all the feedback that you can get, because still a student. I was like, yeah, tell me how I can improve. And one colleague came to me and she said, it was really good, but your pants are transparent, so here's what you do. And she wrote me like a name of underpants that you can put underneath these kind of fabrics, so that people don't see your underwear.
Yeah, it happened to me once with my teacher. That was I think it was the first concert I ever done in the music academy. We studied together, right? That may be something that you want to know. And then it was my first time facing classical singing. I've studied classical trombone and classical piano before, but the whole opera world was a bit of a long stretch for me, especially because of the personas that are involved in the making of the students.
You don't mean voice teachers, do you?
Yeah, well...
They're okay.
Well,
they're very mild.
They have their own attitude, and so one of them that I studied with had a big sense for fashion. So some things were allowed and some things were not allowed. And I did my first concert. It was like an afternoon hour in one of the classes in the music school. It wasn't even an official concert, right? It's just the students who come to watch, and a bunch of teachers that are, leaning above some small pencils and notebooks to write down your grades.
Yeah.
And I just came with my normal outfit, what I would just wear for any day of school. So I just sang. And
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. And after the concert sort of exam thingy, so she's coming to me, and it was, my first concert in the music academy, right? So for me, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't believe you've done this to me. And I was like, what do you mean? Did I sing bad? It's like, I can't believe you've done this to me after all I've taught you. It's like, what do you mean? You only been teaching me for 3 months. Second of all, I didn't sing that bad. It was kind of okay. And she was like, yeah, your toes were showing. How dare you come with sandals to a concert? And I was like, really? That's what you have to comment on? Okay, fine. I feel fine now. No, you don't understand. I'm going to be your fashion police. That's what she said. So from now on, you're not allowed to go on with bare toes on stage. Well, of course, I've been doing it since, but maybe not in her concerts.
Yeah, so that's the difference between you and me. I would, feel the obligation to obey in such cases, and she wouldn't.
It just ticks me off.
Okay, so what did you say I'm not allowed to do? Okay, I'm going shopping. Do you have another embarrassing / extravagant, outrageous story to tell?
Well, no, I don't know if that's outrageous, but a lot of times people come to me after the show and they say, wow, we really enjoyed it. It was an amazing show. You're so lucky to play with such great musicians.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
And like,
smooth.
I know you've been trying to give me a compliment, but...
Don't you want to balance it out a little bit?
Yeah, I would say something like, this was great and this was great and this was great, and you have great musicians. I love my musicians, they're amazing. But I wouldn't go to someone who made a cake and compliment her about the chicken. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah. Yeah. Okay, but now for something a little bit more... positive. So I was performing actually at my parents' village where they lived at the time. I think it was 10 years ago or something. And we just invited the neighbors, right? And one of our neighbors came with their little kids. They were, I think, 7 and 10-year-old, something like that. And they have never heard opera in their lives. So... when I was finished, they came to me, the parents came to me and they said, well, I guess my kids like opera now. And I was like, really? Because usually when people hear that for the first time, they're a little overwhelmed, including my 7-month-old. Now when I sing opera, he starts to cry because it's overwhelming. It's really loud and full, and you don't know where it's coming from. But it was a great compliment for me to see that I made those kids like opera. So, and there's some people also told me that they didn't like opera before the concert, and now that they heard it, they like it again. So one day I did this opera, and I didn't have the title role in it. I had a smaller role, but I still invited the whole family because at the time it was a big deal. And it was a Suor Angelica, so by Puccini. It's 1 hour opera, pretty short. It's part of a trilogy, whatever. So I invited my extended family to this, and I have cousins who are like my siblings. We're really close, and both of them came up to me. One of them said, that was an absolute dream. I slept through the entire thing. And the other one said, you crossed your heart so many times, you're not a Jew anymore.
Well, people have tendencies to pick on the smallest details and say, and serve them to you back on a dish,
Yeah.
Oh, sometimes you have people that, like, I don't very often do cover versions of my shows, but then sometimes I would do 1 or 2 songs that are not mine, and there will always be some funny person that is also a musician that will come afterwards and would tell me, these are not the chords of the original song. It's like, yeah, I know, I made an arrangement. I reharmonized the song. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is not how you should play it. It's like, yeah, but be a little bit open-minded.
Yeah. I think I had that attitude once, that when you perform a song that has already been written, then you're not allowed to change anything because it's sort of like respect for the song or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not. Then there is no creativity.
Well, you could still have creativity in dynamics and the way you interpret the musical phrases, but sometimes that's not enough. If you want to bring something new, then I would attempt. For instance, like my version of the Redemption song from Bob Marley is very different from the original. It's on YouTube. Check it out. And I changed, like I put a whole C part in the middle, like a new written composition, really, a new part in the song that is not there.
Also new text?
No, it's a vocalise, so it's just a melody that I'm playing on trombone while
that's really cool,
on the piano. Yeah. And this didn't exist in the song before, but it felt to me like it belongs there, and I wanted to open up the arrangement to make it, the extra value. Sometimes walking the extra mile is important, especially if you want to make something new, to bring your own version to something.
Yeah, which you want to if you are a singer-songwriter. That's sort of what you do.
Yeah. Well, some people just, when they do a cover, would do just exactly a copy of the original song, and it's not so much fun for me to do that.
Mm-hmm. So, but can you sing and play the trombone at the same time?
Yes, but it's not really with text, so that will be like, it will sound like I'm doing two notes on the trombone or on a horn. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Maybe I do a video to demonstrate it one time.
Yeah,
it's not so good for the vocal cords, by the way, so that's the reason I don't do it a lot.
It's not good for the vocal cords?
It's not good.
Why not?
Because you can't. You have to blow air while you're singing, so it prevents them from closing properly.
So there's just too much air going through. Like,
yeah.
No, that's don't do that.
Don't do that.
It's not good. Can you think of anything else?
Well, are we only talking about bad things, or also about
No, not anymore. We said a lot of bad things.
Okay, so positive
Let's say good things. Also, the bad things are, funny to remember, so it's not so bad. If you're an audience member, don't be afraid to approach us from now on.
Yeah. Well, I like it when people come and they share their personal stories with me, because sometimes, well, like I said before, you don't realize where the song could go. But sometimes I also get a new perspective of a song that I've already written, or hear a new interesting story that I later on am intrigued to write something about. So sharing your stories with us is important, because then we can relate to them. Maybe we eventually do something with them. For me, it's nice to come into real contact with people who watch the show. If it's a real conversation, it's something special. It doesn't happen every day, every concert.
And do you stand there after the show every time?
Yeah, every time. Unless
it's accept the audience.
I think the only times that I don't do it is if I have to go to another show right afterwards. So sometimes it happens that I have to go. Sometimes I have 2 concerts in one day, or like, let's say, a concert and a workshop, or something else that I have, or an interview that I have to go to. So that's the only case where I will miss the meet and greet. But otherwise, I usually do a meet and greet after every show.
So how would you rate it, like, in percentage? How many positive comments versus the, let's say, the constructive feedback?
There isn't so much constructive feedback, because most people who come to see the concert are not necessarily music professionals, and also if they're music professionals, they're not necessarily in the same field that you are. So then the constructive criticism doesn't really happen after the show, unless you go to a masterclass or you ask somebody to review your concert that you know is a professional in your field. If you have if you're lucky enough to have somebody visit your concert from your field, then I would say cherish the feedback, and maybe even instead of listening to it right after the show, I would schedule a conversation or either meet the person, a real meetup, or on a video chat, or whatever you want to do, just to get a real feedback in. And I would also advise you that if you perform often, that you film your concerts, not necessarily just to promote yourselves, but also to have feedback about how you function on stage. What do you bring to the audience? What do you say? Not only how you perform your music, but also how you communicate with the audience while you're on stage. What are the stories that you tell? Why are you doing this? How do you move?
Also from a technical point of view,
to dress up, and also from a technical point of view, for sure.
Just as a singer,
microphone technique,
or a player, when you see yourself, it's even better than practicing with a mirror, because when you practice, you have to do something while you're watching yourself, and when you're just watching yourself, the coins really drop. So I really agree. I really recommend it.
And also, the fact that you have a whole concert is also unique, because if you have the patience to watch yourself for such a long time. I am not that patient with myself, but I had to do it anyhow. Although it was difficult, but I would recommend to watch entire concerts of yourself, because there is a starting point, there is an end point, there is transition points in the middle where you have to kind of release tension and pick it up again, and to be able to give a good concert that will leave the audience with an impact, you'd have to practice also the whole picture, not only specific songs. Not
to create some kind of a flow.
Yeah, create a flow, tell a story. Yeah. Oh, I like spending time with you. So thanks for inviting me.
Me too. Thank you for being here, and I enjoyed it. It was nice.
I enjoyed it too. Thanks.
To reminisce.
Our old days in the music school.
Take it easy. Take it all with a pinch of salt, and enjoy it, whatever comes, right?
Yeah. Remember to enjoy it, because sometimes it's difficult, but eventually I think it pays off.
Yes. So thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
And bye for now.
Bye for now. Register to our channels.
Yeah, channels.
Subscribe.
Channels.
So.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye.